executive debate. So welcome. I'd like to welcome our current he's actually standing at the moment, County Executive David Morgan. And also I'd like to welcome our County Commissioner Shane Eaton, who is going to debate David tonight. Guys, welcome, and we want to thank you. And again, to our moderators from the Lawrence County Republican Party, Brandon Taylor and Lawrence Sutton. Guys, thank you very much. And just appreciate you guys being here tonight and all you do for this county. Just want to tell you we appreciate you and all that you do. Want to say tonight is brought to you, this broadcast is brought to you by Stryker's Steakhouse. Just want to give a shout out to the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce for helping us with these podiums tonight. And just want to say thank you. Are you waving at us? No? Are they just waving? All right. So thank you for everyone who is making this possible. So guys, I want to thank you for being here. Thanks so much for being able to do this. So Brandon, Lawrence, I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Thank you, Charlotte. David Morgan, Shane Eaton, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for trusting us for handling this debate. We appreciate you both being here very much. Just so the audience knows, each candidate's going to get 90 seconds as an introduction. Then they get 90 seconds to answer each question. Should they be called out by the other candidate during the debate, they will get 30 seconds for a rebuttal. At the end of the debate, we will give each candidate 3 minutes for a closing statement. Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you for being here. We'll start off with question number one. We actually drew numbers out of a hat to see who was going to go first. David Morgan picked number one. David, you got the first question. What is Lawrence County's greatest financial challenge? His mic's not on. David Morgan's mic's not on. I'm sorry, I messed up. Okay. And we need to get, can you say test into that mic, please?
I'll say we just get right into it.
Check.
Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, I apologize. My mistake. Usually Lawrence makes mistakes and I can blame him. Actually, I'm going to blame that on Lawrence, even though he didn't do anything. Just kidding. It's totally my fault.
That's why you keep a sidekick around.
Well, we sat here for a few minutes and we asked questions for an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm just ready to start asking questions. So I apologize. So let's do a 90-second introduction. Thank you for that. Thank you for catching me. So David Morgan, you're going first on a 90-second introduction. Go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. I'm David Morgan. I am your county executive. I'm also the Republican candidate for county executive, and I just want to give a shout out to Philip Heatherly and for running a clean race the last 6 weeks ago when we ran and the election happened. And I'm thankful that the citizens gave me the nod to be the Republican candidate, and I'm here, standing here tonight, standing on that platform. And but I just want to go ahead and say, the last 4 years have been an incredible time for me. To become the county executive here was something I never expected I would do. And man, the last 4 years has been incredible. And tonight you're going to hear me talk about facts, not feelings. You're going to hear me talk about results. You're going to hear me talk about a record that we have had as a county government that has been unprecedented in county history. Tonight there will be facts that I share. And I'm going to share those with integrity. I'm going to share those with honesty and truth. And I ask you, as the Lawrence County citizens and those of you in this room tonight, to prayerfully consider who you would choose. And tonight I appreciate Shane as well for being here. I'm thankful that he agreed to do this debate and to step up here, and it takes guts to do that. And I have a lot of respect for him for just being in county government. So I appreciate you for that as well. So thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and I'll shut up and let Shane introduce himself.
Thank you, David. Shane Eaton, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself.
So I want to thank everybody for being here as well. Yes, I am Shane Eaton, and I am running for county executive for Lawrence County. First, I want to say I'm not a preacher. I'm not a farmer, but I know the importance of both. Lawrence County was built on the faith of people that came here to make Lawrence County what it is today. So they had the faith in themselves, they had the faith in the Lord, and they made Lawrence County great. So I want to continue that greatness for them, for what they've taught us, and to continue that. And so that's just what I'm running for, and just to make sure. I've got 12 years as a county commissioner, 3 of those as your chairman, and I'm very grateful for that. That has been a great thing to do. So I've got experience, I've got education, I have an MBA, I'm a certified county finance officer, I'm a certified public administrator. And so I just want to use that training and that knowledge and to make Lawrence County better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll start off with our first question. David Morgan, what is Lawrence County's greatest financial challenge?
The biggest financial challenge for us in Lawrence County is to keep the cost of living as low as we possibly can. And Lawrence County citizens are feeling the crunch right now from the effects of decisions at the national level, the effects of decisions at the state level, the effects of decisions that are made at local levels. When it comes to a specific thing in county government that we really need to focus on over the next 4 years, I believe that is something that I have committed a lot of time and energy focusing on for the last 4 years. And we've come a long way, but we're not finished yet, and that is emergency services in Lawrence County. Our county volunteer fire departments need to be funded. They need to be supported. There needs to be more structure built within that organization as well. There's also places in our county where communication is not even possible for our first responders. There are dark spots in our county where they can't even talk on their radios, and cell phone service doesn't work. And so there are vulnerable people in our population right now that can't even get the help that they need. Financially speaking, for Lawrence County, we are in the best place we've ever been in the history of our county. Our surplus is bigger than it's ever been. The percentage, we're right at 61% of our annual expenditures we have in our fund balance today. When I came into office, that was around $9 million. Today, it's a little over $14 million. The largest single increase in a 4-year span in the history of our county. We're in great shape as a county financially, but we always have to be looking ahead. We've always got to be saving for a rainy day. And we've always got to be making difficult decisions and cutting things where we can. As a matter of fact, in the last 4 years, we've paid off $18.5 million worth of debt. And my plan is to keep leading the county the way I've led it for the last 4, and that is to be fiscally responsible in every way.
Thank you, David Morgan. Shane Eaton, same question for you. What is Lawrence County's greatest financial challenge?
So that's a very interesting question, considering we got 61% of our reserves of our budget in there. Our greatest financial challenge, honestly, is the maintenance of effort for our departments. We haven't increased, we have not increased that at all that much. And so we've still got to build roads, schools still have to be funded, the sheriff's department needs to be funded. So that is the greatest financial challenge, is to keep those funded, because we've got challenges coming. We got growth coming, so they have to grow with that. So to keep that going, we need to increase our maintenance of effort little by little. We don't need to borrow money to increase the maintenance of effort. You know, we paid off $18 million in debt, but you know what we did 2 years later? We borrowed $20.2 million. So we just went right back in debt. So we don't need to do that anymore. So our maintenance of effort is what we need to do. We need to increase that just 1 or 2% every year and try to continue that. So we plan for growth, and we're planning for that maintenance of effort. And you work with those departments to handle that. So that is the greatest financial challenge, is our maintenance of effort.
David Morgan, are you calling for a rebuttal?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll give you 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Go ahead when you're ready.
So the truth is, the commission voted to borrow $20.1 million, something like that, 20.8 something. 12 million of that went to the school. Shane, I believe you voted for that bond, by the way. You voted to put us in debt that much. 12 million of that went to the schools. 6 million of that went to a road building program, the largest road building program we've ever done in the history of our county. And 3.1 or 2 million of that, forgive me if the numbers aren't exactly right, went to county buildings. And so there's a lot we're doing with that, and that MOE is increased every single year for every department, including the sheriff's department and EMS.
Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you.
Shane Eaton, with rapidly increasing property values, how does the county protect homeowners, farmers, and businesses from a crippling tax burden?
So, first of all, we stay within our budget. We stop borrowing money to fund our budget. We stay within the budget so we don't have to increase property taxes. Second of all, we try to work with our farmers. We try to support our farmers so they don't lose their farmlands and have to sell out. We need to look at programs to help sustain their property and keep their property in their family. And what was the other part?
So the question is, with rapidly increasing property values, how does the county protect homeowners, farmers, and businesses?
And so we also need to remember that our appraisal process is not a hidden tax. So when that reappraisal comes out, we need to make sure that we are following what we need to do. We need to have that state certified tax rate come down, and we need to make sure that it's right so that we do stay within budget and we don't increase taxes on our citizens.
David Morgan, with rapidly increasing property values, how does the county protect homeowners, farmers, and businesses from a crippling tax burden?
Well, one thing we do is we look at other ways to fund government. And so that comes oftentimes in the sense of fees. And so we hired a consultant a few years ago, Donna Barrett, former state representative, and she came down and consulted us for the last couple of years and showed us lost revenues that we've had. The commission voted almost up and down on every one of them, straight up, and they voted to find those revenues, increase fees, and various things. So fees, for instance, that Mr. Eaton has voted against or passed on every single time were fees to increase in the court system. For people that have the speeding tickets, have the misdemeanors, have the criminal record, when they come to the courts, our district attorney asked for a little $6 fee per case that his people had to work, and that fee was denied by Mr. Eaton. He would rather fill that hole and fill that bucket with property tax dollars, when only 35% of us in this county own property. Property taxes are a big thing, and it's an issue, and I believe in property tax reform. But I want to tell you this. Over the last 26 years, property taxes have only been raised one time in Lawrence County, and it was in 2015. And Mr. Eaton voted for that property tax increase in 2015. He increased the property taxes by nearly 60 cents. He's on the record voting for that. So my plan is to never raise property taxes. As a matter of fact, I have not one time in any meeting talked about the need to raise property taxes. Proper fiscal management and applying fees to the people who do the crime, you need to pay the fine. And so that's my opinion on that. And I don't think that we should hit property owners and farmers to fill the gap for people that are doing criminal activity.
Shane, would you like a 30-second rebuttal?
Sure. So, yes, I did vote to increase taxes when I first came into office because they hadn't been raised in who knows how long. I mean, it's been a long time. We needed to raise taxes, unfortunately, to provide services. So that's the only reason. It's not because I just wanted to raise taxes or the commission just wanted to come in and raise taxes. Also, too, fees don't help. They only hurt people. They don't help people.
All right, next question. It's going to David first. Can you detail how we are financing the county's roads repairs and if alternative grants are being pursued to supplement the budget?
Yes, thank you for that question. Roads are huge in Lawrence County. We have over 1,000 miles of roads here that are just county roads. That's not including state highways, city streets. Ryan Crick and his crew does the best work in the state of Tennessee, and they manage the money to the penny. And I'm very proud of that. We're increasing our maintenance of effort to them. As a matter of fact, we increased that this year. I'm planning on that in the budget if my commissioner will vote for it, the increase to the maintenance of effort. And they'll get even more money this year to do their job. We just opened bids today, and we found some good news. Travis Caldwell's in the back. He's on my purchasing committee. Some of the prices have gone down just a hair. Most of them went up, and some of them have gone down. So a few years ago, I mentioned the bond. So in 28 years, Lawrence County did not do any kind of road building program. That means they didn't borrow any money to go toward roads. The commission chose to do that. Mr. Eaton voted for that $20+ million loan a couple of years ago. And I'm proud of that, and I'm thankful that Shane voted for that because we put $6 million into roads, and then the state gave us $3.2 million, and we put that also into state connecting highways. We have never invested $9.3 million in the history of our county in our roads, but we've done that in the last 4 years. And of that $20.1 million, we've paid off 18.5 in the same amount of time. So we're in a little bit of arrears when it comes to debt, but these bonds are at 1.8 to 2.3% interest. How many of you would take a 1.8 to 2.3% interest rate right now? I mean, your investments are earning 5 and 6%. So that's how we've done it, and that's how we're going to keep doing it.
Shane, we'll give you a rebuttal. You have 30 seconds.
I don't need a rebuttal for that.
Okay, pass on a rebuttal. Shane, same question goes to you. Can you detail how we are financing the county's road repairs and if alternative grants are being pursued to supplement the budget?
So 3/4 of the road budget comes from state gas tax. 1/4 comes from property tax. That comes from Ryan Crick himself. So that's how we fund road repairs. So as far as grants are concerned, there's very little grants out there that we could find on that. I'm a grant guy. I've been doing grants since 2001. I funded over $3 million worth of grants. So I kind of know the grant background there. And so there's very little grants out there to help with that. So once again, we got to go back to the maintenance of effort. We increase that a little bit at a time instead of borrowing money to give him $6 million to be able to use. Increase that a little bit at a time so we don't have to continue to borrow that.
Okay, David Morgan has requested a rebuttal. You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, so we've increased the maintenance of effort to the highway department every single year that I've been in office. So that's not accurate information. Sometimes you borrow money in government bonds, 1.5%, 2.5%. It's a great way to be able to fund projects like that. Matter of fact, there are grants out there for roads. Matter of fact, Nancy Brewer in my office, our grant writer for the county, just submitted a huge grant today for 4 new bridges in Lawrence County of repair. And she has landed over $5 million in grants just in the last 3.5 years. Since I've been in office, it's the most grant money we've ever landed in the history of our county.
Thank you.
Shane Eaton, in the next 4 years, what should Lawrence County do to better prepare for natural disasters and state of emergencies?
So I work for emergency management on my day job when I'm not county commissioner. So first of all, we've got to increase that budget not just because I work there, because Shelton Barnett needs that money. He does great work with what he does, but he doesn't have, his budget is only like $20,000 a year from the county. He's asked for an increase, and guess what? They cut him. And so, you know, he needs that stuff. He needs new trucks. He needs radios. He needs a radio tower. Yeah, and that's $3.2 million. I understand that. We need to cut that. But you need to actually fund the EMA what it needs to be funded at so they can actually do the job that they're doing. Emergency services, we're doing great on. County fire, like he said, is being funded at more than it's ever has been, and they do a great job with that. But when it comes down to natural disasters and stuff, EMA takes that, and they need to have more funding to be able to do the job that they are. We need to have tornado shelters within the county. Haven't done anything with that. No funding for that. So we need to continue to do that. We need to look at all that different mitigation stuff. That's what it's all about.
Thank you. David Morgan, in the next 4 years, what should Lawrence County do to better prepare for natural disasters and state of emergencies?
Well, Lawrence, thank you for the question. We're going to keep doing what we've been doing over the last 4 years. When I was campaigning last time, 4 years ago, I listened. I got these big ears for a reason. My brothers nicknamed me Big Ears when I was a kid. So I listened with these big ears to our county fire. I listened to EMA Director Shelton Barnett. I listened to Jay Moore and various others that are involved in fire protection throughout the county. They said they didn't feel like they had a voice among the commission. So when I came into office, I started an emergency services committee. On this side of the table, I put 4 commissioners that had experience. I put Mr. Eaton as my vice chairman because of his tenure and time as a fireman. On this side, I put 4 professionals that work in the business every day. Shelton Barnett, Tyler McDowell, Jay Moore, and I asked the commission twice to let Chad Moore be on there because he's the E911 director for the entire county, but they voted that down, and Mr. Eaton voted that down every time. Now, I did lose the chair the next year, and the first thing that my opponent did was he kicked everybody on this side of the table off the committee. Tyler McDowell, Jay Moore, Shelton Barnett were gone off the committee. His argument was he didn't want anyone that wasn't an elected official sitting on a county committee. Now, I disagree with that. I think we need more experts in the room. I think we need more advice in the room. And the funding for Shelton Barnett, we are looking at a tower project right now. He's submitted a lot of different things. But when it comes to the truck that was mentioned, that was cut from his budget, Shelton called me and said he's found something else that'll work for him. He's very frugal. He spends every dime to a T, and I'm very thankful to have a man like Shelton Barnett in that department.
Shane, would you like a 30-second rebuttal?
Yes. Okay. So about the Emergency Services Committee. So it's not about them having a voice on the committee at all. They still had a voice. What they didn't have was a vote to spend taxpayer dollars where they weren't accountable for that. The commissioners are voted by you. The people are voted by the people to be in that office. They're the ones that are held accountable because they are the ones that should be voting on taxpayer dollars. It's not about having a voice. They still have a voice. They need to be a voice, but they don't need to have a vote to vote taxpayer dollars.
David Moore, you requesting a rebuttal on this one?
Yeah, because there's a procedural fallacy that's been alluded to here. So, okay, so the Emergency Services Committee cannot spend county dollars. It can only recommend to the Budget Committee, which is my committee as the county executive that I preside over. It can only recommend the way money should be spent to the Budget Committee. It cannot vote up and down on how to spend money. So anything the Emergency Service Committee has recommended, we have been able to do over the last several years. And man, that means we've increased funding to EMS considerably. We've increased funding to county fire. We've increased funding to our sheriff's department, and we've got them out of the hole. And so I'm very proud of that. And that's just a procedural issue that's not accurate. Thank you.
Next question goes to David first. What should county government provide to existing local businesses?
We should be steady working on infrastructure. That's the big deal. We should take care of the local businesses that we have. The Chamber of Commerce in Lawrence County represents 600 businesses. The Chamber works hard every single day to recruit new business, to take care of existing business, to manage tourism dollars in Lawrence County. For every $1 we spend on economic development, on tourism, it returns $37 to this county. And just to put that in perspective, the state has a 1 to 13 ratio. So for every dollar they spend on tourism and economic development, it only returns $13 to the state. Lawrence County economic development is doing better than any other county, arguably, in the entire state of Tennessee. But you got to have shovel-ready sites. You've got to have good infrastructure. You've got to have good protection and a safe business climate. Just last week, my opponent voted in the Economic Development and Tourism Committee to completely defund the Chamber of Commerce. To defund the Chamber of Commerce, economic development, tourism, and Main Street. We get tax money from every business transaction that goes on in Lawrence County. Our schools are funded by 1.36% of every transaction that happens of that 9.75% sales tax. Our Chamber of Commerce is renowned in the state of Tennessee. And we get deals and opportunities, and we have received over $32 million in grants in the last 4 years garnered through our Chamber of Commerce. It's asinine to imagine this community without it.
Shane Eaton, would you like a rebuttal?
Yes.
All right, you have 30 seconds.
So what Mr. Morgan has failed to mention is, and he mentioned that earlier, that the Economic Development Committee only recommends to the Budget Committee. And the Budget Committee itself didn't vote for that either, because they had questions, and so they wanted to ask. So they didn't pass it either.
Okay. Are you asking for 30-second rebuttal, David?
Yeah, since you used my name, right?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds.
So the Economic Development and Tourism Committee every year votes on how every dollar would be spent for nonprofits, for economic development, and for tourism. They vote on that, and they send that to the Budget Committee. Mr. Eaton made the motion, and another commissioner second, and 4 of the 5 on the committee voted to completely defund the Chamber of Commerce, Tourism, and Main Street. Main Street was $10,000, and they voted to defund that. Before Main Street, anyway, I don't have time to finish all that, but that's what happened, and that's exactly the record, and it's there if you want it.
Mr. Eaton, do you want your question or do you want a 30-second rebuttal?
I'll take another rebuttal, please.
Okay, 30-second rebuttal.
So
Go
once
ahead.
again, it goes back to the Budget Committee has final say in the budget. They're the ones that, they finalize everything in every committee. It all goes to budget. So the Budget Committee, once again, did not vote to do that. So they had the opportunity. They had questions. They didn't do it either.
Okay, Shane, you still get the question. So the question goes now to Shane Eaton. What should county government provide to existing local businesses?
So I will have to agree with Mr. Morgan on that. We need to have the right infrastructure. You need roads, you need good water, you need electricity to be able to provide for our businesses. We need to have a sit down with them. What do you need? What is hindering you? I think we need to have better school CTE classes, so that way we can have a workforce development there. So that way they have employees that are ready to come out and ready to go to work. So I think we need to work on that. That's a big issue, is having a great workforce for those businesses. Sit down with them, say, what is the barriers to that? So we need to do that. But infrastructure and workforce development is probably the biggest two that I can tell that we need for our local businesses.
Shane, next question actually comes to you. What is the best way to attract new businesses and industries to our county?
So the interesting thing, that probably the new best business to attract is the one that's already existing. So we try to work with them and say, what do you need? Can you expand? Would you be willing to expand? And so we start with them because they're already here. They've already got a tax base started. So we need to support them first. Once again, we go back to the infrastructure. We need to have the right infrastructure to attract new businesses. We need to make sure that they're businesses that are actually going to fit Lawrence County. Lawrence County is a big agriculture community. We should be recruiting some agribusinesses. We ought to be supporting farms that do agribusiness. You know, that a farmer who grows corn could actually sell that corn to a person that makes cornmeal here in Lawrence County. We have cattle farmers that sell beef to local butchers here, and they sell their product here. So it makes a great circle here. So that's what we need to do. That's what we need to make sure that Lawrence County is ready to go. And, you know, we need to make the background of what Lawrence County is, and that's how we attract new businesses.
David Morgan, what is the best way to attract new businesses and industries to our county?
Well, the best way to do that is fund the people who do that with their life, okay? I'm not going to pretend that me as a county executive has the expertise, ability, time, connections, education to be an economic developer. That's not my responsibility, nor is that the responsibility of the county commission. Again, the Chamber of Commerce in Lawrence County, Tennessee has done an amazing and incredible job over the last 4 years that I've been in office and even beyond. And you may have disagreements with different decisions that are made from time to time, but I don't know about anybody in this room that never has disagreements, even within your own household from time to time. But we need to fund the people who are experts in that area. And I'm going to tell you something. The state of Tennessee has passed down $32 million worth of grants and federal grants through the state because of the trust and respect our Chamber of Commerce has in this community. You fund the people that are experts. We don't have to sit back and pretend like we are the experts. We need to listen to the experts, and we need to fund them and help them do what they do. At the same time, hold them accountable to decisions that are made. And that's something I'm going to commit to do and continue to do as I move forward in office. And I'm thankful for the opportunity that we've had to work together over the last 4 years. And man, I'm excited about the possibilities that are coming down the road because, listen, if a community is not growing economically, it's dying. There's no neutral gear. And we have brought agribusiness. Avogen is in Lawrence County. We've got H&R AgriPower, a new facility up there. Thompson Caterpillar is on its way. There's a lot of different business that has come to Lawrence County, and I'm looking forward to keeping that going.
Okay, so the next question goes to you first, David. How do you plan to foster a collaborative and transparent working relationship between the county commission and the school board regarding funding requests?
Again, I think we've got a great system right now. Michael Atkins and I, we're on, you know, if he calls me, I'm answering the phone. If I call him, he's answering the phone. We're constantly talking and discussing what's coming down the road. We have a school board liaison committee, and it's been meeting over the last few years. And from the school board chairman, John Daniel, who I grew up with, kindergarten friends, he says the communication has never been better between the school system, the board, and county government. As a matter of fact, there's not one thing they've asked us for over the last 4 years that we have not been able to fund. And we've been able to fund those things not by borrowing money. We've been able to fund those things by balancing our budgets, being fiscally responsible, and putting money in our rainy day fund. And we're going to continue to do that kind of work. As a matter of fact, right now, pending the sale of the Southern Tennessee Higher Education Center, and after the city and the county figure out who's going to get what piece of the pie, I am going to work hard to build the next building plan and infrastructure plan that the school system already has in place. And I don't think it's my job or the commission's job to sit back and tell the school system what they need to do. They are experts in their area as well. They are elected officials on the school board. We just need to be there to support them and fund them because our children are our future. And every dollar we invest in education, we can't even quantify the difference it makes. It's exponential. And so I'm going to continue to work hard to produce what we need to. There's a plan in place right now to use the funds from the sale of the Higher Education Center to build some facilities in Summertown, Lawrence County High School, and at Loretta High School. And I'm excited about the opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. Shane Eaton, same question. How do you plan to foster a collaborative and transparent working relationship between the county commission and the school board regarding funding requests?
So I believe that starts with communication. And we, like he said, we do have a great school board liaison committee that meets every so often. But I think it starts with communication. The school board needs to collaborate with us and say, hey, well, this is what we need. Then we come back and say, okay, this is what we realistically have to be able to do because of funding. And so we just work together on that. And that's just the way it is. We need to start joint board meetings early in the budget process. And we need, so that way we can establish what we need, what they're wanting, what we can do, and then kind of come to a middle ground and say, okay, we can do this and this year, and then work on a long-term plan later on down the road. So I believe in education as well, because that is something you can't never take away from. I think we need to definitely expand on some things, but that's what it starts with, is communication, working with the school board and saying, hey, this is what we realistically can do. And let's go from there.
Can I,
You want a rebuttal?
yeah, can I add to that?
You get a 30-second rebuttal if you request, if you're called out.
Then call him out.
I don't think so.
All right,
No,
I'll
I
add
don't
it
either.
in later. All right, fine.
So, Shane,
I was actually going to agree with you.
next question is yours. What is your 10-year plan for the Lawrence County school systems?
Wow. You know, that's going to be interesting. 10-year plan. So, you know, I think probably one of the biggest things is once again, we sit down with Michael Atkins and the school board and say, okay, we want to do a 10-year plan. So what do y'all have in mind? And listen to what they've got to say and then try to work on that. I would love to see more mental health people inside the school system, because our students are really going, they're like the sheriff's candidate said earlier, they're going through some different things than we ever had. And so I think we really need to focus on some mental health services for them at the schools. I know we've got some, but we could expand on that. I would love to listen to what the students want. They're the ones going to school. They're the ones that are learning. If we engage them in learning, then they will be more willing to come to school. So I would love to see more programs of what they would like to have. I've had some say, I would love to have an auto mechanics class or a small engine repair class. If we could do a small engine repair class for a student, and when they get out of high school, they could have their own business when they get out of high school. They wouldn't have to go to college. They could just go ready to have their own business at home. So I think that we could expand on those kind of programs, listen to what the students want. Because as adults, we kind of have an idea, but they're the ones there. They're the ones that are bringing up the future. So if we listen to what they say, I think that's what we need to do. And I would love to see 2 new high schools, but holy mackerel, by the time 10 years comes around, they could be $100 and $110 million a piece. So we'd have to really look at that.
David Morgan, what is your 10-year plan for the Lawrence County school system?
So my plan will have to be tomorrow's plan, not 10 years from now. But I'll talk a little bit about it, because the school system, the school board, paid a consulting company last year, or a year and a half ago now, 2 years ago, to assess their need for facilities and various things over the next 10 years. I sat in that meeting with all the teachers and administrators from the county and listened to this company say that we are in really good shape as far as facilities are concerned in Lawrence County, as far as classroom space is concerned. Now, that's Michael Atkins said that. That's the consulting company said that. They may have to change some zoning as far as where kids actually go to school based on where they live to be able to make up the difference right now in a little bit of areas that they're a little bit overcrowded. But I believe we got to listen to them and do what they ask us to do. Here's the deal. When Mr. Eaton mentioned that we need to have meetings with them so we can pass the budget, and by the way, our budget's not even passed yet. So the mentions that the budget committee didn't pass the nonprofit and tourism budget that's a moot point, because we haven't even finished all of our meetings yet, so that we will pass that. But one of the things that we do is we have to wait till they pass their budget in May before we can even sit down and begin our budget process. So that happens every year. They don't pass theirs till May, and it's $60-something million of our annual spending in the county. So mental health increases, yes, I agree with you, Shane, 100%. And I appreciate you voting for that over the last few years. We have mental health counselors around the county. We need more of them. We've seen teacher raises every single year since we've been in office, got ahead of Governor Lee's recommendations, and facilities upgrades. And our CTE programs are top in the state. They win #1 at the state CTE all the time.
Thank you.
I couldn't be more proud of that.
Shane, would you like a rebuttal?
I don't think so. I think we're okay with it.
Okay, on the next question, both you gentlemen and I have, we've worked together with town hall events. We've had a lot of discussion over the past 4 years, And so I know that when I ask this question, it's always out there on a debate. And so I'll preface it with a statement. You know, we laugh about even mentioning these types of things is very difficult. But property zoning laws are local government regulations that dictate how land can be used, what type of structures can be built, and where those buildings can be placed on a specific piece of property. Do you support property zoning laws? David Morgan, it's your question.
I do not support zoning in residential areas 100%. I think there has to be some consideration when it comes to industrial property and where that's placed and where that opportunity is. Currently in the county, we have zero zoning, we have zero codes, none of that kind of stuff. And so when I came to office, I started a committee called Property Development and Codes, because every 4 years the commission has to vote yes or no on state codes. And I said, well, that will be where you have the conversation, is in that committee. I created a committee because when you have a committee, that means you have to be transparent to the public, because you're having the conversation on the record. You're having the conversation and it's broadcast to the public. You have to put out a notice that committee is meeting so people can come and opine and give their input on what's going on. And so I created that committee, and I put on there the president of Farm Bureau. I put on there Ernie Jones. I put on there the largest farmer in Lawrence County, John Rose, because I wanted his input on property development issues, particularly in residential neighborhoods being built, water runoff, and things of that nature. I also put Justin Holt on that committee, who is actually a civil engineer and does that work every day. And that committee would recommend to the commission things to do. So my opponent, upon becoming chairman of the commission, deleted that committee. We don't even have a platform to have those conversations now, or to be able to address issues that we are all dealing with right now in Lawrence County. Big concerns about industrial developments and things that are going on, and that committee doesn't exist anymore because my opponent did not see fit to keep it.
Shane Eaton, would you like a rebuttal?
Yes.
Okay, you have 30 seconds.
So yes, as chairman, I listened to what the people wanted. And they said they didn't want codes in Lawrence County. So they said they didn't need that committee. So we cut that committee. That's what I do. I listen to what the people want. And so that's why I cut that committee. I made a veterans committee instead. It had never been done before. So now we have a veterans committee where veterans can have their voice. Thank you.
Thank you. So now you get the same question. Shane Eaton, property zoning laws are local government regulations that dictate how land can be used, what type of structures can be built, and where those buildings can be placed on a specific piece of property. Do you support property zoning laws?
So I definitely think the discussion is out there. I've had several people to come up to me and say, hey, look, we probably do need zoning, but they don't want building codes. They don't mind having what we call soft zoning, where their property is just designated a zone, like agriculture or residential or light industrial, something like that. But they still don't want to be told what they can build on their property. But they also don't want their neighbor building something next to them that's going to harm their property. So that's kind of the reason that zoning is even being discussed. You know, and zoning is definitely a topic we need to have out there. I want to hear what the people have to say. I'm not going to make a committee with all my friends and we're just going to have a little get together and discuss zoning and then we'll go down that road. I truly think that you need to have people at the table, and we need to have town hall discussions about zoning. And so that way the people have a voice about it. And if the people want to have a voice, I think they should have the right to vote on it. Maybe it needs to come before on the vote in November. Allow the people to say, do they want zoning? They have that way they have the vote to do so. And if they don't want it, they don't vote it in, then I guess we'll just have to try go down that road. I want to do what the people wants to do. That's what it's all about. That's what county government is for. You do what the people ask you to do. You don't work for you work for the people. They don't work for you. And that's what I support zoning.
Are you requesting a rebuttal?
Yeah.
You have 30 seconds.
So again, you've got to get the right people to table to help make these decisions, and you got to do that in a public committee where people can actually come and talk. When my opponent says, people said, delete that. Listen, codes are voted up and down every 4 years. September, guess what? The commission has to vote whether or not to adopt state building codes. Codes and zoning are two different things. I believe that we should have some common sense land use policy when it comes to industrial land. Any residential or agricultural land that's being changed to commercial or industrial, it needs to be brought at some point to a discussion point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you want to rebuttal? Yes. 30
So-
seconds.
So once again, it goes back to listening to the people. I think the people need to have a voice at the table for zoning. If they want it, then let's do it. Let's have that discussion. If they don't, then we need to look at some other reasons to do it.
Thank you. So the big elephant in the room, I'm actually surprised we didn't have more people in here. So we're going to ask the question that everybody's probably listening to on the radio right now and watching on Facebook. Shane Eaton, this question goes to you. Do you support recruiting large-scale data centers to our community? Why or why not?
Boy, just throw me in the fire there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad it was you first.
Yeah, that's all right. Let me just, for the record, I do not support any data centers, large or small, within Lawrence County. What we do with land in Lawrence County will affect future generations for us, not just for us, for our future generations. Data center, they say data centers are critical infrastructure. I think our farms in Lawrence County are more critical infrastructure, and we need to protect them first. Now, a data center might be good in a industrial area that is heavy industry, no farms around it, no land around it, no residential around it. You sit across the country, people are opposing data centers all day long. Now, do I believe we need more information? Yes, we need more information. I tried to put out a resolution for a moratorium to study on what we need in data centers or how we can do that. Unfortunately, our county attorney says since we don't have zoning, we can't do that right now. We could be subject to a lawsuit. But I have tried to make the effort to try to stall it as much as we can so we can have more information and I want good information. Because right now all we're having is bad information, how bad it is. I would love to see if it's going to be good or not. If it's not going to be good, we don't need it. Large, small, doesn't matter. 10 square feet, 100 million square feet. It's not good for Lawrence County.
David Morgan, do you support recruiting large-scale data centers to our community? Why or why not?
So the first time I really heard data center was maybe in the last, 3 or 4 months, right? I think it might have been mentioned in some other meetings at lunch or this and that from time to time, but I had no clue what they are. And I'm not going to pretend up here tonight to be an expert on data centers in any way, form, or fashion. Now, from what I'm reading online and the studies that I've seen, large-scale data centers, if you look at everything you see come across your social media, they're pretty scary to me. Do they actually do what these studies say, or do they actually do what the hype says? Do they actually damage groundwater? Listen, and I've said this unequivocally on my social media and various other places, I'm not for any industry that's going to damage our environment. I don't care if it's a food manufacturing plant. I don't care if it's Toyota. I don't care what it is. If it's going to damage our water, if it's going to damage our land, if it's going to damage our way of life in Lawrence County, I'm not for that. Now, I believe every project has to be judged on its merits. And there is a lot of misinformation. I agree with you, Shane, in the midst of the current one. As a matter of fact, the truth about the current little bitty 50 to 60,000 square foot data center, the truth about the facts on that is being misconstrued every single day. It's going to use about 30,000 gallons of water a year. Tidal Wave uses 14,000 gallons of water every single day. It doesn't even have a wastewater scrubber system on it. That means it's not like 4 plants we already have in Lawrence County that have to clean their wastewater before it goes back into our sewer. It's going to use about the same amount of power as TFT or Modine. It's going to use 1% of the available power remaining in Lawrence County. So those are the facts, and I think we need to make decisions on facts, not fiction.
Thank you. I want to follow up with a question, Shane. You had mentioned moratoriums. There are numerous counties currently in Tennessee and other states that are issuing anywhere from an 18-month to a 36-month moratorium on data centers coming in. Mm-hmm. Do you support it or do you not support it?
Oh, I definitely support it. It's like I said earlier, I tried to go ahead and submit a resolution. I already had co-sponsors ready to go to do a 12-month moratorium on this, and it wasn't about trying to stop this one. I just wanted to try to affect it in Lawrence County because, once again, we've all heard that the county has nothing to do with the city of Lawrenceburg, and that is true. We do not. But we have to stand up and say, look, this isn't good. We don't wear it no matter where it's at. So we needed a 12-month moratorium to say, hey, we need to do more research. We need to make sure what we're doing is right. I fully support that. But unfortunately, until we have that discussion on zoning and to make sure that we're doing what's right for Lawrence County, we can't do a moratorium is what our county attorney has advised me.
David Morgan, I'm going to try to do the question again for you. Numerous counties currently in Tennessee and other states, counties, are issuing anywhere between an 18 to 36-month moratorium on data centers. Do you support that or not?
I am not opposed to studying these things in a deeper way. Now, Shane is completely right on the fact that we do not have the legal ground to make that decision as a county government. I consulted Ryan Durham as well, our county attorney. Without zoning laws already in place, and even with zoning laws already in place, there's a lot of lawsuits that have already been filed against that because there has to be precedent in certain situations. A temporary moratorium makes more sense for a study and things of that nature to be done. But creating something final, you put every taxpayer in Lawrence County in jeopardy when that happens. And this little bit of savings, rainy day fund that we actually have, that could be depleted just like that, trying to defend ourselves for some rash and irrational decision we might have made in a moment of haste. And so I just want to say, look, I believe in studying everything out, and I'm going to just say this. There's a lot of people in Lawrence County right now that are afraid and concerned. And listen, I hear you, and I understand that. I'm listening to the facts, and I'm trying to make decisions based upon that. And Shane's right. The county had nothing to do with the current one that's here. But moving forward, these things are coming. This is the modern era. That's what's happening. And we've got to get ahead of it and understand it. And I think communication, better connecting with the federal government, state government, understanding what's going on and what these things actually are will make the difference, because a lot of people are afraid and concerned, and I hear them and I understand that.
Thank you. David Morgan. Where should data centers be located, and where should they not be permitted?
Well, the industrial park is already set up for industrial development. Okay, so if a data center is going to exist, it needs to be an industrial park area. Shane's alluded to that fact as well. And so we in Lawrence County have the largest industrial park. We've expanded our industrial park larger than it's ever been in the history of our county in the last few years. We have shovel-ready sites there, and many, many, many other industries are being sought out, and many data centers have over the last couple of years have even called, but the Chamber of Commerce has said, no, that's not a fit for us. It's not a fit for us. It's not a fit for us. And so, listen, those things are coming. TVA is the only federally owned utility authority in the country, and there's a lot of pressure from the top. As a matter of fact, President Trump just a couple weeks ago said he wants to lighten any regulations and things on data center development. Well, listen, that puts us in a vulnerable spot. I was in D.C. a couple weeks ago, and I sat down at Senator Hagerty's office and talked to his chief of staff about this very thing. I said, we are a vulnerable population. We need your help to understand fully what data centers are and what the effects of them are. And then we also need to know what laws need to be put in place to give our citizens a say on what's going on. And so the truth is, there's a lot of misinformation out there, but there's also a lot of real information. And so I think you have to study these things out and you have to think about it, but they should only be in industrial park areas, in my opinion. And again, people can sell their land. Everybody has personal property rights. And so that's a challenge for us in Lawrence County.
Shane Eaton, same question. Where should data centers be located, and where should they not be permitted?
So I definitely agree with David on that. They definitely need to be in a heavy industrial area, somewhere that they do not produce sound or whatever. If all the information that I've read is, they make all these sounds, they affect your animals around there, they affect humans' hearing. I mean, people are saying that they hear humming all the time. So there needs to be in an area where they're not going to be doing that, where there's no residential, there's no farms, there's no neighborhoods. And if there are close, then they need to have sound protections. We need to have some kind of buffer zones in there and to protect our neighbors. That's what it's about. It's about protecting our neighbors in Lawrence County. And when somebody, they have the property rights to sell their property, and unfortunately that is, it's not a bad thing that you can sell your property to whoever you want. But sometimes it gets sold by a third party and you really don't know who you're selling to. And so that's how that kind of comes about sometimes is, oh, I got this great price for my property, but then it comes around and, oh, well, it's a data center or it's something else, and you're like, oh, so if you're getting a big offer for your property, like several $1,000s more than what it's usually worth, probably a red flag, and maybe you might want to think about what you're selling to. But I definitely think they need to be somewhere outside of a neighborhood or near farms or creeks. We don't need to use up our resources.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a follow-up question, and it's because of a lot of concern that we have, and of course, Lawrence and I doing this debate, we're trying to bring real questions, real problems that people have been pushing us to ask tonight. Data centers are known to lobby TVA to raise electric rates. We'll start with, I believe it's your time to go first, Shane. We'll start with you first. What would you like to say to the citizens of Lawrence County who have concerns that a data center coming to this area is going to actually raise the cost of their electric bill?
That's a great question because that is a lot of people's concerns, and that's a lot of the information. Thankfully, the state of Tennessee has passed a bill to where they have to pay, the data center has to pay for their own electricity so that it does not fall on the residents of Lawrence County. So that is the good thing, that the state has taken care of that and said, look, you're going to have to pay your own way. The residents are not going to pay for your data center. Even though we're paying for it with our cell phones every month, we're paying for everybody's data centers using our cell phone all the time. So, I just got a bill the other day said my iCloud account is no longer going to be free. They want to charge me. So I got to pay for their data center somehow, I guess. So, so that's, that's the way it is. But I don't want that to increase our electric rates at all. And that's one of the main reasons I oppose it, is because I want to make sure that we're getting that information. That's what it's about, getting that right information and being transparent about it up front. I can't say that enough. We got to be truthful to the people. And here's the thing. Yes, we are only getting information from these companies. They're telling us, oh yeah, we're only going to do this, we're going to do that. But then sometimes they come down the road, well, wait a minute, we're going to change. Kind of like they said, we're going to use 10,000 gallons a day. Now it's 30,000 gallons a year. It's already changed a little bit. So we got to make sure we're transparent with the people. And if it's going to affect them, we definitely need to make sure it's not right.
David Morgan, the same question. Data centers are known to lobby to raise electric rates. What would you like to say to the citizens of Lawrence County that are concerned that these data centers are going to raise their electric rates?
I'm going to say, if that's true, then I don't want them here either, right? If they're going to try to raise my rates. But what studies I've read actually say these mega data centers, these big ones, actually build their own gas turbine power plants. And I'm very familiar with that. I worked for Enron and a subsidiary named NEPCO when I was in college as an electrician, and we built gas turbine power plants all over the Midwest, my brother Mark and I. And those gas turbine power plants were put in areas where it wasn't residential, and it was places where it didn't affect the community around them. If that's true, Brandon, I mean, anybody in this room would be crazy to say, yeah, we don't want a company coming here that's going to lobby to raise our rates. But then there's a lot of other studies that say actually data centers build their own power plants, and then they actually sell power back to TVA, the excess power that they create. So there's also equivalent studies that say that. So there's a lot of different studies out there. But again, finding the truth in this day and age is very difficult because not everybody knows the truth, and everybody pretends to be an expert in a lot of situations where we're not. And so I'm not going to pretend today to be an expert in data centers or food manufacturing or any kind of manufacturing, but I am going to defer to the people who do this every single day and trust the people who have had integrity in dealing with me over the last 4 years. And we are going to continue to watch things closely and make common sense decisions that help Lawrence County. And I'm not for anybody raising my electric rates, but hey, listen, TVA raises our rates a couple times a year already anyway. I mean, anybody else pay electric bill around here? I do. So we don't get a say in that, but they do it. So anyway.
Okay. Shane Eaton, what distinguishes you from your opponent?
Boy, I could come up with a whole lot of stuff right there, but I'm not going to. So, all right. So, what distinguishes? So, I'm not the establishment. I've already said I'm not a preacher and I'm not a farmer, and I'm not knocking those professions. They are very important professions. They are hard professions. County executive is a hard profession. So I'm very transparent. And I will always be honest with the people. And I'm not trying to make that a shot at him at all. I'm just telling you what distinguishes me. I am very honest about things. And if I know about it, you will know about it. If I hear about it, you will know about it immediately. We're not going to wait till after things blow up and then all of a sudden, we're going to start hearing about things. If I hear about it, you're going to know about it. And that's just, that's just the way I am. You got to have honesty. And as politicians, they say politicians are not honest. I don't believe that. I think politicians can be honest, and they need to be honest, and they need to be transparent. They need to be held accountable. I want you to hold me accountable. If I'm not doing something right as your county executive, I want you to call me. And guess what? You'll get an answer or you'll get a voicemail, and then I'll call you back. I will be accessible. I'm accessible. Thank you.
David Morgan, same question.
Shane, I guess I could
What
laugh.
distinguishes you
ahead.
from?
I
What?
know the question.
Okay.
So I guess I could laugh and chuckle and say the same thing, but I appreciate the kindness. Yeah, there's a lot of differences in Shane and I, and one thing is when it comes to being establishment, Shane has been in county government for 3 terms. I've been here 3.5 years. I didn't come in with governmental experience other than being engaged and involved in our community and starting nonprofits and leading nonprofits in Lawrence County. So Shane talks about accessibility. Listen, there's a million different ways to communicate these days. Email, phone calls, text messages, instant messenger, Facebook Messenger. I mean, a million ways to communicate. My phone number is on the internet all the time. I tell people to call me anytime. There's a young man sitting over here that don't always agree with me on things, but I respond to him when he messages me. He's only 19, 20 years old, but I respect you enough to respond to you. There's not one time that I won't have a sit-down meeting face-to-face with someone. So accessibility is something I have lived out. It's something I do. That's who I am. It's 24/7. And a matter of fact, there's been a lot of talk about not being there. Well, what is there? Is there sitting behind a desk? Or is there being on the 20 different boards that I serve on? Is there being on the regional committees that I serve on? Is there being out and about in the 9 different department heads' offices that work under me as the CEO of the county and talking to them in their place of business? That's where there is. There is where the people are. And my office is used throughout the week for meetings and various other things. One of the things I'm going to continue to do is be transparent and be there.
Thank you.
Shane, would you like a rebuttal?
I don't need one.
Okay, next question goes to David first. David, what is your strategy to fund services like schools, roads, and emergency services without increasing property taxes?
Well, Brandon, we're going to continue to do what we're doing. Growth is the key. Here's the deal. If you do not have economic growth in your community, if your economic growth does not outpace inflation, you will inevitably at some point in time have to cut services in the county. You won't be able to invest in roads. You won't be able to invest in public safety. But growth has to outpace inflation, and that's the key. When Mr. Eaton made the decision several years ago to vote for the only property tax increase in the last 2.5 decades, they did so in a moment where, hey, look, inflation had outpaced growth, and that's where we were. And so that's what comes, and that's what happens. But what we're doing is being ready for growth, funding entities that produce growth in our community, like the Chamber of Commerce, who supports local businesses, 600 local businesses. That's mom and pop stores. That's industries. That's hundreds and thousands of people that work for those local businesses. That's supporting tourism in our community. Every dime we get on hotel motel tax, we get to utilize that money from people that don't live in Lawrence County. They come and give us money. Okay, through hotel motel taxes. And we can use that money for our schools. We use that money for roads. We use that money for various other things. I'm going to continue to do those things the same way. And raising property taxes is not something I have even contemplated or considered because it's not something we have to do when we manage the budget responsibly and we invest where the money needs to be spent first.
Thank you. Shane Eaton, same question. What is your strategy to fund services like schools, roads, and emergency services without increasing property taxes?
So I think it goes back to managing your budget again. I think we have to increase the maintenance of effort just a little at a time every year and say, okay, we're going to increase this 1% this year, 1% this year. You also have to plan. We got 61% of our fund balance. So let's go, okay, what can we use that for later on down the road? Can we make a plan? Can we set aside part of that for a plan to maybe do capital projects for schools? Or can we, just set that aside for a little bit and let it draw interest and say, we don't have to do it today, but we can plan for it 5 years down the road or 3 years down the road. So take part of that instead of just putting it over here and saying, oh, we got 61%. Take part of it and say, okay, well, we're going to use part of that for some kind of project that we could be looking for down the road. So we increase the maintenance of effort on the schools, the roads, and the public safety, because that's just what we do. I mean, you just don't increase taxes. That's one thing I agree 100% with my opponent on is we don't increase taxes. Growth should also pay for growth. Yes, the chamber does a great job at growth. Not knocking that. And that was not the reason that it was not being funded. Once again, that comes back to decisions on other committees that did that. So, but growth should pay for growth. That's flat out. We should not be paying for growth.
David Morgan, you request a rebuttal. You have 30 seconds.
I just want to talk about MOE for a minute, maintenance of effort. So we've increased the maintenance of effort to the school system every single year that I've been in office. Anything they've asked for, we've increased it. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to do a building project with the school system who's put aside $3.5 million. And if we get the piece of pie that I expect to get from the school, from the sale of the Southern Tennessee Higher Education Center, we're going to take that money. We're going to take all that cash, and we're going to fund, maybe for the first time in the history of our county, building projects at all 3 high schools with cash and not borrow a dime. That's my goal. We may have to borrow a few. I don't know. But right now, we're trying to work it that way. And we can use some of that fund balance that he's talking about to do that.
Shane, you asked for a rebuttal?
Yes.
You have 30 seconds.
So that's great. We got $4.5 million coming. And yes, we could use it for schools, but we do have other projects that we could use it on. Okay, so we need to look at that too. We don't need to just throw it all into one project. We got $4.5 million. That needs to sit down and be planned and discussed with everything. We need to know what we're doing with that. We don't need to just say, oh, we're going to do all this. You got to sit down and have a plan. You can't just write a check.
You request a rebuttal, David?
Yeah, because that's just...
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, so the money that was borrowed for the Southern Tennessee Higher Education Center was borrowed through a bond. Bonds are very specific. The language in a bond says exactly what you can spend that money on. You could spend that money was spent specifically, according to the bond, according to the law, it can only be spent on educational facilities. And so the money that is returned to the county, our original investment is going to come back, plus hopefully a few $100,000. That money has to be spent, according to the law, on school facilities. So I just want to clarify that point. We can't just give that to other things.
You request a rebuttal again? All right, we'll give you a rebuttal, Shane. Go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
So that's great. So let's build a TCAT.
You yield back? Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. All right.
Next question. You got it.
All right. Shane Eaton, are you satisfied with the current status of the Lawrence County landfill? Why or why not?
So, thankfully we don't have a landfill anymore. So it's really just a transfer station where we just bring our garbage to be taken away by somebody else, which we pay for. I think it needs to grow a little bit. We've done well with it in the past. That's probably one thing I will have to say that we've done good on, is that we've really tried to do better on that. We have established a convenience center in Loretta. That's a great project. I think it's very good. The problem is it costs $800,000 to build it. Now, we did get a grant, which I did find, and I forwarded. I said, hey, Nancy Brewer, this is I think we can build a convenience center or use this money for convenience center. I forwarded it on to her. So we used I think it was $150,000. I can't remember if it was close to that for that convenience center, but that was $800,000 without buying property. So we need more. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we need more. So, but now we've got to look at how much is property going to cost us? Is that going to cost us $1 million down the road? So we've got to plan for that. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We've got to plan for these things. Yes, we need more convenience centers because our citizens deserve it. They don't need to be trying to drive to Lawrenceburg to throw away their garbage. I think that's a service we provide. You pay $102 a year. You should get something out of it. But we definitely need to plan for that, and we need to plan right.
David Morgan, are you satisfied with the current status of the Lawrence County landfill? Why or why not?
Again, I'm glad you answered that, Shane, and said it's not a landfill, because it's not. So I was going to text y'all and tell y'all it's a transfer station. It's totally different than a landfill. But yeah, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy with what we've been able to do over the last several years. Gary Wayne Hyde is the most award-winning solid waste director in the history of our state. Okay, you just look it up. You can ask ChatGPT tonight. You can say, "Hey, who is the best solid waste director, most award-winning in the state of Tennessee?" And it'll pull up Gary Wayne Hyde's face. Now, don't be afraid. He looks pretty cool in that picture. But anyway, I love what they do. Listen, and Shane, I agree, man. $800,000 is a lot of money, but our facilities are top-notch. The state of Tennessee came down and inspected our facilities. They said, "Dude, these are the best ones in the state." It's the best one in the state. And so when I came into office, we had one place to bring our garbage, and that was to the middle of Lawrenceburg. That's why garbage ended up on the side of the road in Piney. That's why garbage ended up on the side of the road in Iron City and everywhere else. And so part of that bond, that $21 million or $20.8 million, was $3.5 million for county facilities. And part of that was to fund the convenience center. So we're looking for land right now on the west side of town, on the north side of town, and on the east side. And we want to build 3 more of those things. And we've actually been able to figure out a way to do that and cut some cost along the way. A lot of the cost up front was the trucks we had to buy, but those can be used at multiple facilities. So, man, I'm excited about that. Me and Shane agree on that one. 100%. I think we got top-notch staff, and Gary Wayne Hyde decided to hang in there with us, even though some on the commission didn't or passed on the vote to keep him and to keep him employed. And I'm thankful that we got him and we kept him from going into retirement because he's the best one in the state.
Thank you. David, going back to you on the next question, what is one misconception voters may have about you that you would like to correct?
Misconception. Well, I hear a lot of people say, "Man, you just got a lot. You're just doing a lot. You got a lot on you," right? And I appreciate that. I appreciate that sentiment, and I appreciate that concern. Listen, I grew up with 4 big brothers and a dad, and I had 4 bosses, 5 bosses, 6 bosses, 7 bosses, actually, because I had a little sister and a mother, too, on top of that. And one thing every one of them will tell you is that, what's David doing? Well, he's doing a lot. He's doing all kind of stuff right now. That's just how he is. It's in my nature. It's who I am. And one of the misconceptions is that I can't handle it. Well, I just want you to look at the record. The record over the last 4 years is all I really need to stand on tonight. Our county is blessed beyond measure. Our county is in a better place than it's ever been in so many ways. Yes, there are concerns. Yes, there are fears of what could possibly come in the future. But I want to tell you today, I'm not someone that's going to just dictate and arbitrarily try to do things. I like to put people around the table, put experts in the room that know what they're talking about. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm not doing my job and getting the right people in the room. And so it's important for people to understand God graces different people with different abilities and different tools and different giftings. And I'm thankful today to have the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It's been some of the best years of my life, and I'm excited about potentially doing this again if the citizens would be so kind to allow me to do that.
Thank you. Shane Eaton, same question. What is one misconception voters may have about you that you would like to correct?
Gosh, I'm going back to Gary Mills and just have to pick one. I'd say probably the biggest misconception is, since I'm running an independent, most people think that you're affiliated with one party or another. A true independent is not party affiliated at all. A true independent is answerable to the people of the county. So I would say that as an independent, I am answering to you. I'm not answering to one party or another. You know, a person told me one time that, you know, I'm on the I team. I hear you. I see what you're saying. I'm going to be fighting for you on that I ticket. And so that's what I think is the honest truth of the matter, is that people misconception of what an independent candidate really is. And it's about actually working for everybody in Lawrence County and listening to everybody in Lawrence County and listening to everybody's ideas, because you never know where the next great idea can come from. Okay, so an independent candidate is not necessarily affiliated with one party or another. So just remember that.
Shane Eaton, why should the people of Lawrence County trust you as their county executive?
So trust is earned. Trust is earned. Trust is earned through being accessible, by listening to the people. You earn that trust by listening to what they actually have to say, and you actually sit there and listen to what they have to say. You just don't brush it off. You're accessible. When they ask you a question through Facebook or text or call or whatever, and you answer that as quickly as you possibly can. You're there when they need you. Now, yes, you could be in a community event, you can be in the office, wherever you're at. If you're accessible and you are approachable, then that's how trust is earned. And you be transparent about things. I think that is probably the number one thing, is that you're very transparent about what's going on in your office. As county executive, I promise you, and you stand up for what's right for Lawrence County. You don't just give in to your donors or your party or whatever. You stand up for what's right for Lawrence County as a whole. That's how you earn the trust of Lawrence County, and that's what I will do to earn your trust. I will earn it. I will not just say I have it. I will earn your trust, and you will know it.
David Morgan, why should the people of Lawrence County trust you as their county executive?
Again, that's something I have to agree with Shane. Trust is earned, and I've always been told it's earned one drop at a time, but it's lost it a bucket at a time. Trust is not easily regained, and so the decisions you make, the records you have, is what people build their ability, whether or not they can trust you upon. And I just want to say my record has been clear. Has it been perfect? No. And I'll tell you, listen, I was reminded every day growing up with four big brothers, you're not perfect, Dave. You're not perfect, right? But I understand that. And perfection is not something we can attain in this life anyway. Scripture teaches us that we are being perfected by the presence of the Holy Spirit in our life. And I want to say today that every single day, I get up and the first person I consult in my life is the man upstairs. And that's business with the county, that's family, that's my own relationship with him, that's our church, everything I do, he is my guide. And I just want the county, or Lawrence County, and the citizens of Lawrence County to know that I'm dedicated first and foremost to him and his word, and I will follow that, and I will do what is right to the best of my ability and understanding in those moments. And yes, I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. I ask for your trust, but I also want to earn it. And I realize sometimes I've lost people's trust from time to time. That happens. But I love the opportunity as well, and I think everybody deserves it, to be able to regain and build that trust. And so I'm asking Lawrence County to continue trusting in my record and who I've been over the last 4 years.
David Morgan, this question goes to you first. What is one promise you're willing to make to voters tonight?
Again, I'll have to agree with John Myers. Making promises is a difficult thing, but I will commit to this. How about that? I will commit to be the man I say I am, whether I'm at the desk, whether I'm in public, whether I'm in the pulpit, or whether I'm at home with my family. And I'm going to be someone that is yielded first and foremost to the direction of my Heavenly Father. I'm going to continue to work hard every single day for Lawrence County. There's not a night that goes by that I'm not on my phone answering Facebook Messenger messages or text messages or sending emails. If you ever get emails from me at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, then that's what I'm doing. I find the time outside of my time with my family, I find the time to get the job done no matter where I am or what I'm doing. And I'll make that commitment today that there's nobody that's going to work harder than me. And hard work is what has got us to where we are over the last 4 years. And I will say this, the county executive position is primarily an influential position. And I've always been told, if you're a leader, just stop. If you consider yourself a leader, just stop and turn around and look and see who's following you. And I'm fortunate that the commission has passed and voted and went my way almost every single time. There's nothing I can say that I've wanted to accomplish in these 4 years that the commission did not help me accomplish. And without a vote, they stood up, and Shane was one of those numerous times that made the best decisions. As a matter of fact, our current health department, Shane was one of 4 that voted yes the first time for that land purchase, and I appreciate that, Shane.
Thank you. Shane Eaton, same question. What is one promise you're willing to make to voters tonight?
So, yeah, I mean, gosh, politicians should never make promises, that's for sure, because you never know what could happen. But the promise I can make is that I will be working. I will have no other obligations other than Lawrence County. I will be working for Lawrence County. I will be in the office when I need to be in the office. I will be wherever I need to be. You can't be everywhere at once. I totally understand that. But I will be accessible to the people, and I will listen to what you've got to say. That is one thing as chair that I was asked, if you're chairman, will you listen to the commission? And that is one thing I've told them, and I have listened every single time. Have we always agreed? No, we haven't always agreed, but I am willing to listen to every commissioner and every person that calls me and talks to me. You know, like this young man over here that Mr. Morgan mentioned, I've talked to that young man, and I will work harder for him because he is the future. Him and his family are the future of this county. And you've got to work hard for those people because they're the ones that are still going to be here even when I'm gone. And we've got to make it better for them and his young daughter. Okay? That's the promise I can make. I want to make Lawrence County better for the next generation, and I will be working for you to do that.
Okay, Shane, you got a question that's come up. In 2020, most Tennessee counties instituted mask mandates and other COVID mandates. What were your thoughts on those mandates?
Well, unfortunately, when the federal government says we've got to do something, unfortunately, sometimes we have to do that. Did I necessarily just want to do that? No, I did not. But I caught COVID myself, and I was kind of glad I had the mask so I didn't spread it to everybody else. And that was not that's not a good thing to have. It put me on in the bed for 7 days, and that was pretty rough. And there was people that had it worse. We had people die in Lawrence County. I think we had over 1,000 people die from COVID in Lawrence County, and that's why we have those mandates, I think, is to try to stop that. Whether we agree with it or not, it comes down to protection of our county and our people in Lawrence County. We've got to sit there and think about it and go, okay, is this really good for Lawrence County? If it's really not, if they're just trying to force something down our throat, then yeah, maybe we ought to really say we need to come together as county government and say, do we really want to do that? You know, they might come up with some crazy mandate that we don't agree with. Well, then we'll just go back to what we can do. We have to go back to what we can legally do as a county government. You know, but we got to do what we can to protect our citizens. That's just flat out. And that's what I want to do, is make sure we're protecting everybody in Lawrence County.
David Morgan, in 2020, most Tennessee counties instituted mask mandates and other COVID mandates. What were your thoughts on those mandates?
First of all, I want to say, you guys, you got data center questions, and now you got COVID. I thought we was over COVID, you know.
Aren't we there?
But the truth is, we had people die in our church. We had people die that I'm close to. But I will never surrender individual liberty to some federal mandate. And I want to say I'm so proud of T.R. Williams, who was in office at the time as county executive, because one of the only true powers you have as county executive is to be able to institute emergency health situations in times of disaster. Governor Lee did not put a statewide mandate on the state of Tennessee. He left it up to the county executives. T.R. Williams chose not to force every citizen in Lawrence County to wear a mask. And I appreciate the fact that TR fought for individual liberty, because listen, out of chaos, it's a communist symbol, and you see the hand grasping the wheat. Out of chaos is order, is what that means. And like Rahm Emanuel said, the mayor of Chicago, Illinois, he said, never let a good tragedy go to waste. And so government will try their best to grasp our liberties. Every time there's some kind of tragedy, I believe every American citizen has individual liberty and should be able to stand and do what they will in that moment and make that decision for themselves.
Gentlemen, you need a rebuttal?
Yeah.
We have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
So I do say this, and yes, TR did mandate that he's not going to take away individual liberties, but county employees had to wear a mask. Every county employee had to wear masks. That was the mandate. Now, he might not have said the citizens had to, but stores made them. You couldn't go in a store without, in some stores without the mask. So, you know, that's that. County employees had to wear a mask.
Gentlemen, thank you. Lawrence County, we have just heard from our two candidates for county executive. And I want to say we're truly blessed to have both you gentlemen running for office. Thank you for being cordial and letting people know who you are. Brandon and I always have a couple of sayings. Give them a microphone and they will tell you who they are. And then we also say we are not politically correct, we are biblically correct. I'd like for everybody to give these gentlemen a hand for coming here and telling their constituents who they are.
Gentlemen, you both get a 3-minute. We've been talking for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, we had like 100 rebuttals, so my apologies, everyone.
And you know, reference back to debate, and I say this in front of everyone, we're live. Debate should never be easy, but it should be fair. And that's what we've tried to bring tonight. A lot of people have pushed us for a lot of questions to try to bring to you guys. And I do appreciate you guys being here. You both get a 3-minute closing statement. David Morgan, you're first. You have 3 minutes.
Well, thank you again to WLX. Thank you to Strikers. Thank you to Republican Party in Lawrence County for hosting or moderating this event. Shane Eaton, I want to say thank you for the ability to serve alongside of you the last 4 years nearly. We've done some good work together. I know we don't see everything eye to eye, and that's normal in life, I guess. But I want to speak to Lawrence County in particular, and I want to say the last 4 years has been one of the most incredible opportunities of my life, and I love this county. I love this county with every ounce of my being, and we've made monumental strides. And the old saying is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Lawrence County is the envy of a lot of counties in this state for a lot of reasons. It's because we work well together. It's because we are professional. We present ourselves that way wherever we go. It's because we let our yes be yes and our no be no. It's because we plan for the future and we make the tough decisions that have to be made. And I want to tell you tonight, those of you watching online, those of you in the room today, I will promise you 100% that I will pour just as much time, energy, and effort into this next go around, and maybe even more. Because now I'm not drinking through a fire hose the first year and a half, 2 years. Now I'm not building relationships around the state and throughout the country that are first-time meetings. No, I have those relationships solidified. I'm sitting on those boards. I've been asked to chair different things and be a part of this board and that board. And I'm going to continue to serve in every way I possibly can because that is who I am. And God has called me and he's called all of us, honestly, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, to be a servant first and foremost above everything else. And that's my promise. That is my commitment, and that's who I will be. And I love what I do, and I love working with Shane even when we don't agree on things. And I'm thankful for the opportunities we've had. And the truth is, the glass is way more than half full. The glass is nearly overflowing in Lawrence County. But a lot of people wake up every day afraid. They look for something else to be fearful about. And my Bible tells me that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. I just don't wake up. I refuse to wake up afraid. I'm going to get up every morning. I'm going to trust my God. I'm going to put my faith in him, and I'm going to put my boots on. I'm going to go to work. And that's what I do every single day, and that's what I'll continue to do for Lawrence County. And I would love to have your support, your prayers first and foremost, your vote. I would love to have every single one of your votes, and I would appreciate that. And I would love the opportunity to continue to serve as your county executive. What a blessing it has been. Thank you.
Shane Eaton, you have 3 minutes for your closing statement.
So yeah, I want to agree with that. I want to thank you guys for doing what you're doing. It has been, I mean, honest truth of the matter is probably, it's been tough. There's no doubt, but it has been fair, I think. So I want to earn your vote, ladies and gentlemen. As your county executive, your vote will not be wasted if you vote for me. I will be at work. I will not have any other priorities other than Lawrence County. That is my promise to you. I will come to work every day, except when my wife tells me to go on vacation. But no, I will come to work and work for you. And even on vacation, I'll still be accessible, even until she tells me to put my phone down. But we've been married for 33 years, and that's probably been the greatest blessing of my life. And so, she has supported me in this race, and I'm very grateful for that. And I couldn't do it without her. And also, I cannot do this without you, without your voices. I truly believe that that's what it's about. Lawrence County, I want you to have a voice at the table. I want you to actually be able to come to your government and say, I was actually able to voice my opinion, and they actually listened to me. And I was actually had some part of that decision. Okay? That's what you will get if I'm your county executive. You will have a voice at the table. You will have somebody who will actually listen to you. You will have your government accessible to you. And to the commissioners, you will have somebody that will work with you. It's no, we're throwing you under the bus. County executive, if we fail together. If we succeed together. I'm not going to take the credit. You're not going to get the credit. You're not going to get the failure. I'm not going to blame you. Well, the commission voted this, the commission voted that. That's not the way it works. County government has to work together. And as the county executive, we'll bring ideas to the commission. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, we'll talk about it and we'll try to work it out. That's what it's about. Our founding fathers had different opinions, but you know what? They came together and they made our great country. They had different opinions, they had different religions. They had totally things, but they all came together for one purpose, and that's to build the United States. And that's what I want us to do as a county government, is to come together and make Lawrence County just as good as it has been, and it'll be even better for the future generation of that young man's family right there. Okay, that's what it's about. And that's what I want you to do. When you go cast your vote for me on August 6th, know that your vote will count and that you will have a voice at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And I know there are a lot of elected officials watching tonight. And I want to say thank you to all the elected officials that serve this county, serve the state of Tennessee. It is a labor of love. It's intense and it's tough. And we want to say thank you for all that you do. I want to say thank you to my wife again for being a timekeeper. You've done a great job up here. None of the candidates can complain. That's what keeps it fair, is having that timer in place. Excellent work. Also, special thank you to WDXE, WLX. They are the voice of freedom in Lawrence County. I can't imagine what this county would be without this radio station, putting this together, letting us come in and do this. It's an awesome thing, awesome event. Strikers Steakhouse. If you're hungry, you need to go to Strikers, because I can tell you this, Strikers supports free speech and freedom and loves this community. Thank you so much, Strikers, for what you do. Early voting starts on July 17th. You need to go out and vote early. Don't wait around. Go vote. And Election Day, as was already mentioned, is on August 6th. Thank you all for being here, live audience. Thank you for those of you that are listening in. God bless you. God bless Lawrence County. Good night.